Hello guys, I'm Peter from Build a Boeing, and in this video we're gonna get our ass kicked. Or we're gonna kick ass, I don't know, anyone. Well, reason is I bought this yesterday, and you might recognize it. If you don't, I'm just gonna sit sideways here and you can read it is a butt kicker. This one kicks your butt. So my wife just thinks that name is hilarious, but it is a subwoofer that plays low frequency sounds, and you mount it onto a chair here. This goes on your office chair like that, and then this, when it plays the sounds, it vibrates, and those vibrations go into your seat, and then your entire seat starts vibrating like that. I really like to feel those runway center lights when you take off and you're perfectly aligned on the center line, and you run over those lights that's built into the runway, and your front gear goes over and it goes ka-dunk, ka-dunk, and I really like to have a shake whenever I go over those. That's one of the reasons I bought it. But also, of course, just to add to the feeling of things moving. So you can plug it directly into Flight Simulator, and then it will play the sounds that is played in Flight Simulator, all the low frequency sounds like the bass sounds. It's all about the bass here, no treble. They're getting played here, so things move. So when you touch down and it goes boom because you're going down the runway, or you deploy a speed brake and you have the speed brake sound from the wind going against the speed brake, your chair will start to shake. That's cool. And that's the easy way to do it. And this one comes with this unit and then an amplifier. And on the amplifier, you can cut off the frequencies, how high you want the frequency to go. I think it's 100 hertz, 150 hertz is the maximum. I haven't really played with that yet. And there's also a volume button where you can we can turn up and down how high the volume should be on this. And so the higher the volume, the more violently it's going to shake. And if you turn down the volume, the shaking will be less. And I just tried it yesterday. And I have to say, on the high volume, everything in here was shaking. That I was at one point I was afraid the chair was going to fall apart. The mount that the chair sits on was going to fall apart because it was shaking heavily, and it was shaking at almost everything. And coming from a cockpit that's sitting totally still, having things move all the time was a bit strange. But I came to think of it: if you're in an aircraft and you start the engines, well, you're gonna feel a rumble. There should more or less always be a small rumble with a unit like this, because it simulates real life. I'm just used to nothing moving, and all of a sudden it was moving all the time. So I was a bit, is this too much? Is it not too much? You can just use a Y splitter for your sound card and have the sound coming out of Flight Simulator to speakers, split the sound into the amplifier. But what it's going to do then is going to play all the low frequency sounds that you have in Microsoft Flight Simulator or whatever simulator you're using. The low frequency sounds, which means when you touch down, that rumble, when you touch down, that's going to be played, of course. The bad thing about that solution is, let's say an aircraft passes by, or if you're racing, a car passes by. That sound from that engine, from the other plane, a car, whatever you have, that's going to make a low frequency sound as well, and that's going to make the butt kicker rumble. Instead of just using the sound from Flight Simulator, you really want a specific dedicated piece of software that plays sound based on triggers. I know this might sound a bit complicated, but first of all, you need a separate sound card. And you can just use one of those cheap $5 sound cards you can get from China. A USB sound card. Just plug that into your computer, then you have a dedicated audio output. And so this software that you need is not going to play the sound played in your simulator, but it's going to play sounds based on triggers from your simulator. Let's say gear touches the runway, that's a trigger. Then it plays a specific sound that's designed for the butt kicker. But if an aircraft passes by, that's not triggered, so that's not going to play a sound and make your butt kicker move. I hope this makes sense. So you need specific software to have the best experience. You can do without, but really it's worth that specific software. And I did a bit of Googling yesterday, and I stumbled across something called SimHaptic. A disclaimer here, I'm not affiliated with SimHaptic. I have nothing to do with them. They have not gifted me any software. I'm gonna buy the software for my own money. It's a standalone program that has all the different triggers you need for your flight simulator. And it's pretty easy to use as well. It has like 60 different variables, something like that, 40, 60, I don't know the exact number. But there's like a variable for when your spoilers are up, that's a trigger. And for each of these triggers, you have 2, 3, 4, perhaps 6 different sounds. So you can choose between those 6. And you can also adjust the volume of how heavy it should be as well. You can use forever in fine-tuning programs like this, which is something I don't like. I was very surprised when I opened SimHaptic that it actually is preset. First of all, it figured out that I'm using Microsoft Flight Simulator right away. So it loads a profile for Microsoft Flight Simulator. It also recognized the aircraft model that I'm flying. The profile isn't made specifically for a 737, it's just a general profile, but of course you can then fine tune everything. But I was happily surprised that they have made a standard profile that seems pretty good. And then if I need a bit of extra rumble with the brakes, I can always go in and add that and temper with that setting instead of having to figure out 40, 60 different settings. I really like that because there's so many things going on in here. I have so many things I can spend my time on. So sitting down using 2, 3, 4 days to fine tune the different triggers, that's just not gonna happen. So being able to load the program and right away there's loaded a profile that suits my aircraft, I really like that. That's cool. What's my verdict here? I bought it for 120 euros from this guy close to where I live. 120 euros for the unit is reasonable. Coming from nothing moving around, that's reasonable price, and then $20 extra for the software brings me at $140 total. I think that's fair. Does it add to the immersive feeling? Most definitely, yes. I was a bit surprised yesterday, coming from something that doesn't move and things all of a sudden it was shaking all the time, but I reckon it's more realistic, as I mentioned. If you're in an aircraft, things are vibrating all the time, so yeah, that's okay. Did I get the centerline lights that I wanted to begin with this? Well, no, unfortunately not. Not due to the ButtKicker, but due to the SimHaptic program. SimHaptic program doesn't support those centerline lights. So I will do without the centerline bumps if it's that easy to use. I'm Peter from Build a Boeing, and you guys take care. Bye-bye.